welcome to another episode of Roses Are Red podcast with your host, Mrs. Red Rose, her co-host, Sam I Am from the Married Couple Podcast, and AC from Midnight Media.
Which actually, tonight we have Bree Talks from the Alliance Network. Welcome, Bree.
Hello, hello.
It's been so long
I
since
know.
we've been a long time. So this is my good friend from another app that we had back in the day. Welcome everybody that's coming in and joining us. So we have an interesting story. Welcome to another episode of Roses Are Red. And tonight we're going to be talking about, I can never pronounce her name. Can you pronounce her last name?
I've heard it, but no.
I'm more of, okay, Wilma. Oh, I don't know where she went. She should be back soon. You know, she is known for the queen of let me see, the queen of serial killers. Her name is Aileen, and please don't come after me because can't pronounce her name. Is Wuornos. I can't pronounce her name, so I apologize for that. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Going to give it a couple minutes for Bree to come back in. We've had some technical difficulties, but let me go here with the comments here. Thank you. Hi, Kevin. Good morning. Let's see. It's loading up here. We've got.
Oh my God, what the heck happened?
I know. I was like, but I'm going through
it made this weird noise and it stuttered, and I was like, oh, where'd I go?
Let me go ahead and show the comments here on the side in case we don't get to your comments. Your comments are going to be read here on the side. Okay. So let's get into the story. What did you think of the story, first of all?
I thought it was really interesting. I did a little research on it, and I don't know, there's a lot to it because it was weird of what her profession was, and then what her preference was, and they didn't coincide.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, she actually was born in Michigan. Did you know that? Which was, in 1956, she was born in Michigan. And from Michigan, she went all the way down to Florida, but it was very interesting to hear she's known as the American serial killer who murdered 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. Her case gained worldwide attraction because she was one of the few that documented female serial killers in the United States and she claimed many of the killings that were confirmed. So she wasn't shy about it.
No.
She was pretty. No. Yeah, she wasn't shy.
No, she wasn't. She was very she was very masculine in demeanor. She was. And I think it had to do a lot with her upbringing, which I'm sure we'll hit on. But she at first she denied it though, right? She said that it was all self-defense. But then when she did finally cop up to it, she was just like full throttle, yeah, I did it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
She just
Well, here's a little bit of her early life. She was born in Rochester, Michigan. Her childhood was extremely difficult. Her father was a convicted of a child molestation, and later died by suicide in prison.
Yeah.
Then she and her brother were abandoned by her mother.
Yes.
So she didn't have an upbringing of her mother. She was raised by her grandparents. Reported later about extreme abuse. There was an instability in her life throughout her youth. She became pregnant at the age of 14, which that shocked me when I was like, oh, she had a baby. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then she was sent to an unwed motherhood place to have this baby.
Right.
Where later on the baby was put up for adoption.
Right.
So with that,
go ahead.
I said with that, do you think that maybe because she didn't have a father and a mother, do you think
Mhm.
that had a lot to do with her not having that nurture, like, the nurture of a mother or a father, or,
Mhm.
how do I wanna say it? Like, that
Her
loving.
nurturing instinct.
Yeah.
I think it does. She was raised with her grandparents.
Mhm.
She was raised by her grandparents literally since she was like an infant, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so and there was some back history on that because from what I read, her mother, her mother, I believe, was a prostitute or something like that. Like her mother was a prostitute, but she suffered from incest. And
Yes.
so later on, it was determined that, and it hasn't been completely confirmed, but her grandfather that she was raised with was supposedly her biological father. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So according to Eileen, I can't remember how to say her last name, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I promise. uh, Gornan, I think it is Eileen Gordon. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it because I hear it in my head. Yeah. So apparently, her her biological father, which was her mother's father, her biological grandfather, her mother's father, who raised her, molested her
Mhm.
as well, but also molested her mother. And that's why her mother was an unwed pregnant teenager herself.
Oh, okay. So, kind of like the roles just kind of went back to what her mom went through, she went through.
Right. And she thought the gentleman that you spoke of earlier in regards to the one that was accused for molesting a child and he was convicted and then killed him, so he committed suicide.
Mhm.
Um, that was supposed to be her biological father, but he really wasn't.
Oh, I thought that was her biological father.
No, for many, many years, she thought that was her father. But then it came out that her mother was molested by the grandfather. And when they did everything and the time, and then they started, I don't know if they did a DNA test. So that's why I'm like, allegedly, because I'm
Mhm.
not sure. But Eileen is the one that said that her grandfather could possibly be her biological father because he molested her mother at the time that she was conceived.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so got it. Okay, that I didn't know. Um, so then in
Okay.
her teenage years,
Uh huh.
in her early adulthood, because she was sent off to have this baby, and then she gave up the baby for adoption. Now, the part I didn't understand is that did they make her give the baby up for adoption, or did she willingly give the baby up for adoption? That I couldn't find.
Um, I'm gonna say they made her because of the backstory, and I also kind of think she did it willingly as well, because at that point she wasn't really in the house anymore. She
Gotcha.
was already kind of roaming the streets. She ended up being homeless at an early age in life.
Yes.
Um, did you happen to read the part of who the her father's child? Yeah, the her who her child's father is? Did you get to that part?
No, I didn't do the research on that part, but I'm pretty sure you got that one, right?
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm just trying to find my notes. Oh, here it is. Found it. Yay. Okay, so um at the age of 13, she did have a child from a 65-year-old man.
Oh,
And
shit.
his yeah, he was very well known in the community as Sergeant. He was a retired police officer, but he was also known throughout the community later as the local pedo.
Really?
Yes, there were multiple counts of multiple victims of his, and she happened to be one of them. And so I believe that's one of the reasons why she gave up the child, was because of who the father potentially could be, and then the embarrassment of the family. So
Yeah. Well, that's kind of crazy to know.
yeah,
65-year-old. I mean, what?
yeah,
Well, then again, you know,
huh?
you've got a lot of pedos out there that strive for the girls that are naive in a sense, and they're wanting that love and attention that they didn't have growing up or in their
Mhm.
household.
Right.
So let's see. In her teen years, she got in trouble with the law. She reportedly um, engaged in several sex and petty crimes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she was, which was really, I mean, it's not far off as her stories, from her young age getting into trouble. That's kind of not, it's not surprising, I should say, right?
No, it's not.
Um, and then she was expelled. She was extremely expelled from the grandparents' house home. They took her out, and
Mm-hmm.
she began living transection trans. Blah, words are hard. I don't know.
It's okay.
And then she moved to the United States.
Yes.
She moved around the United States, I meant to say, and often working as a sex worker and a hitchhiker along the highways, which brings us to the next chapter of her and jumping into a lot of from my understanding, because if you ever seen the movie Monster, it's
Mm-hmm.
based on her. And I didn't click two and two together until recent, like 2 days ago. I was like, oh, that's who it is. And if anybody's ever seen that movie Monster, it's a great movie, but it's really disturbing.
Yeah, that's the one with what's her name? The I can't remember the actress, where they
Yeah,
made
that
her look really like
made her
ragged.
look very ragged, very well, she looked like her. She really did a
Mhm.
good job.
Yes, she did. She
'Cause
really
I was
did.
like, I mean, I was even like, "Really? That's her? That's holy
Hmm.
shit." Something, you see a beautiful woman and then you see him transition to this and you're like, "Dang."
Yeah.
And you go, "Drugs are bad, guys. Don't do them.
Right.
Don't do them.
Don't
Um,
do it.
right? Just don't do it. So then and then she moved to, will now go to the life in Florida during the 1980s.
Hmm.
She settled in Florida, where she
Yes.
continuously did work as a sex worker along highways. In 1986, she met Ty- Tyra Moore
Yeah.
at a
Hmm.
bar in
Hmm.
Daytona Beach. And then
Hmm.
those two began a relationship together and lived together for several years.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. According to Eileen, that Tyra was the love of her life. She just adored her. That's why I said earlier it was interesting because she actually was a lesbian. And I think a lot of that had to do with the upbringing as well, because most of the men that was in her life took advantage of her.
Mhm.
Not to say that that was the only reason why, but I believe that's why it might have turned her to that part, because when she met Tyra, she was completely head over heels. She loved her, like loved her.
And that's kind of crazy to hear because she just seemed like she hated the world.
Mm-hmm.
She just, not weird to say, but it's kind of interesting to know that she actually cared for somebody and loved somebody, and it wasn't just fuck you, you know, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
have anything to do with you, because that's kind of like the feel I'd be like, I would be angry at the world if I was in her shoes.
I believe she was, but I believe her anger was directed towards men. She hated men because everything that men did with her had to do with her body. Like a lot of men took advantage of her. So she grew up with that. And I believe that that's what kind of pushed her to that, because she ended up being a sex worker. She was what they called it back in the day. It was she was a hitchhike hooker is what it was. That's what they called.
Oh.
Yes, she would hitchhike and hook. That's how she ended up going to Florida. She didn't have any money, so she started hitchhiking, and she ended up being what they call a hitchhike hooker. Yeah.
So I kind of was thinking like maybe like a call girl, but a call girl is different, right? A call girl is like when they call you and they say, "Hey, um,
Mm,
hey,
yeah.
can you come to my room?"
Yeah, that's an older word for escort.
Oh, okay.
Basically. Yeah, you know how they call
I'm
you like,
going to
hey, I need you to, escort, da da da. Yeah, it's an older version of escort, but yeah, call
I'm
girl.
going a I'm going to the call girl. I'm like going, okay, maybe a call girl. I just revealed my age without revealing my
Yeah,
age.
it's the same. Don't even worry. We all get it.
Am I missing anything from this timeline that I have?
No, I think you're good. We're on a good timeline.
All right. So then the good stuff starts happening. Well, not the good stuff. I shouldn't say that. It's more the now it starts getting interesting of where we're going into she actually started physically hurting people now. The murders in 1989 to 1990, between December of 1989 and November of 1990,
Mm-hmm.
7 men were killed in Florida. The
Mm-hmm.
victims were mostly middle-aged men whose bodies were found near highways. They had typically been shot with a 22 caliber pistol. She claimed many of these killings
Mm-hmm.
occurred after the men attempted to assault or grape her. And,
Mm-hmm.
investigators, however, believe the murders were committed during robberies. So she would rob them,
Mm-hmm.
but would she do the sexual part, or was it like would it trigger her head if the graping that all of a sudden okay? Because I mean, obviously she had to know she was going into these cars to do their pleasure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I think maybe the first one or two, it was kind of like from what I gathered, and this is my own opinion. This is not factual, but from my own opinion, from reading this and kind of doing some research, I believe the first one or two may have triggered her into doing the rest because they may have been rough with her. So, although she was a willing participant, right, because she was hooking at the time, I think in the midst of it, in the
Mhm.
midst of the act, I think they may have been too aggressive and may have triggered something, and that's when she just started to, yeah. I don't believe
which
the
is
first one was intentional.
which is so sad. It's so sad that someone who potentially could have gone very far in life if she didn't have this upbringing and all these things that triggered this PTSD on her, because it's
Mhm.
PTSD, that she went ahead and did this for all these, which is it's just it's a sad case.
It is. She, going back to her early life, because of the abuse that she was dealing with within the home, she actually uh, basically was kicked out of the house. She was sleeping in um, like the forest. She literally was sleeping on the floor through rain, through snow. She would sleep in abandoned cars. Like she was constantly on survival mode. Um, and that's kind of what pushed her to go to Florida because at one point she started to get what she thought was frostbites on her hands because she was in the cold. And she had a really good friend of hers at the time who was a young man, and he was a cross dresser, and they used to sleep out in the streets together. They were like really good friends because he was a vagabond too. So they would sleep in this like kind of like abandoned area where it was a little bit of a structure, like a almost like an abandoned house.
Hmm.
And they would sleep underneath there. And then, like I said, she started, the elements started getting to her, and that's when she was like, I can't do the winters out here. And she decided
It's
to go.
crazy. It's so
Mhm.
sad because if you think about it, there's a lot of people out there, not serial killers, but there's a lot of people that do live through these winters and they do get the frostbites. And how she said, "Fuck it, I'm just going to start heading to the nearest warmest spot."
Mm-hmm.
It's just especially like, sir, I know I've been to Chicago in wintertime, and that's no joke. It's
No, and just to think, like right now, I'm in PA and we're in the winter and there's snow. A couple weeks ago we had like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches of snow. I couldn't even imagine sleeping
right.
out in this. Like we were at 10 degrees at one point. We had below zero below, so it was like I can't imagine. And being a young kid too, that's what was it's
Well, and then
sad.
to have to defend yourself and try to find food, and that's it's pretty sad. That's pretty hard.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so then so then she went off. Uh, she had her first victim, and I
Hmm.
wonder where the one part I didn't find is, and I don't know if you found it, where she got the 22 caliber. Where did that pistol come from? Because someone
Uh,
had given it to her, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was her. Was it her? Because she was married. You know that, right? She had got married. And
No.
yeah, she got married when she was young. She was extreme. She
Oh,
was like 17, if I'm not mistaken. She was about 17. He ended up being very abusive to her too. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe she got the gun from him. Because this was right around the time before she met her girlfriend. Because she had gotten divorced or separated. I don't know if they were legally divorced or not, but yeah, she was married for a little bit. And I think she stole his gun. She stole it. It wasn't like registered to her or anything like that.
which is surprising that she didn't do anything to her ex-husband. You'd think that,
Yeah,
which she didn't do any. I mean, I didn't see very much on that at all. I didn't even know she was married or even had a boyfriend or anything, but she didn't, I'm
I
wondering if the abuse was that bad that it didn't do anything until she got to the next step. Like when she was away from him, it got into her head.
I think it's that, but I think it was a combination of that and then her just, I mean, she was just completely lost as a child, and then here she is married to a man. Um I don't think, I think she already had, she saw him probably as a savior, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then realized that that just wasn't her thing.
It's crazy to me that, that it kind
Oh,
of
I know
sounds
how to pronounce it. Warnos.
Warnos.
Aileen Wuornos.
There we go. We got it down, folks. We figured it out halfway through the show,
Aileen
but we figured
Wuornos.
it out.
Yeah. I was like, God, what is her last? Yeah, that's it.
So,
Yeah.
then arrest and investigations. She was arrested in January of 1991 after the police linked
Right.
her to a pawned item
Hmm.
that belonged to one of her victims in a witness
Hmm.
statement involving her vehicle. Authorities
Hmm.
pursued Tyra Moore to contact Warnos by
Hmm.
phone to encourage the confession.
Hmm.
Dang, how would you take that your girl that you love so much just ratted you out?
Hmm.
So
But she told her though. She told her that because they have actual recordings, because she was in jail prior to her getting she was in jail, I believe, for the pawn shop incident. And she was on the phone with her and she's like, the cops are here, they're asking me questions, I don't know what to do, I don't want to go to jail, I can't go to jail. And she's like, do whatever you have to do. Like,
wow.
do whatever you have to do. And so she did. She told her, she's like, I can't go to, I won't survive. And she's like, do whatever you have to do. I love you too much. Like, it's there. It's a prison recording call. And so she knew. She knew, but I don't think she knew the extent of the betrayal that was going to happen because she told him everything.
Let's see if I can find that recording of the prison call. Here's, I mean, it. Let's see. Okay, so here's let me show you this right here.
Found out how she got the gun.
Let's see.
It says, according to this, Aileen Wuornos obtained her gun through a trade with her partner Tara throughout an ultimate. Let me see. Although the ultimate original firearm is often associated with the items that she stole from her victims and pawn shops, the .22 caliber revolver. So it looks like she might have stole it.
Oh, okay.
Frequently used a .22 caliber revolver to commit crimes. Yeah, it looks like so it looks like she stole it from one of her victims. Probably the first one.
Probably the first one. I'm surprised she didn't. Like I said, I'm really surprised that she didn't do anything to her ex-husband.
Yeah, it says that it was through a trade. So it said Tara gave her.
So Tara gave her the gun?
Aileen Wuornos obtained her gun through a trade with her partner, Tara Moore. Although the ultimate origin of the firearm is often associated with the items that she stole from her victims and pawned. Yeah. So they're not sure if she really got it from her or if it was something that she stole. I believe she stole it.
All right, let's see. Let me share this screen here.
Let's see what she used in multiple. Yeah, because I don't think the first murder was. I don't think she shot the person the first time.
Let's see here. All right, I'm going to play this clip here for you.
Who murdered 7 men between 1989 and 1990, became one of the most infamous female criminals in U.S. history. Born in 1956, Wuornos had a troubled childhood filled with abuse and neglect. In 1989, she began killing men, claiming that she acted in self-defense as they allegedly attempted to rape her. Her method of killing involved shooting her victims with a handgun. All of her victims were found along highways in Florida. In January 1991, Wuornos was arrested and soon confessed to the murders. At her trial in 1992, Aileen Wuornos was found guilty of the murders of 6 men and sentenced to death. She spent 10 years on death row before being executed by lethal injection in 2002. Aileen.
So I thought I'd talk about more about where she got the gun there or something. So that didn't talk very much about that. But you know what? She wasn't very attractive either.
Mm-mm. No, she
at
wasn't.
all.
Mm-mm. She wasn't. And she didn't do herself up. She was very, like I said, she was very masculine in demeanor.
Yeah.
Whether it's the way the way that she spoke, the way she carried herself, she wasn't the girly girl that wore dresses, and she always wore like button downs or jeans and shorts and stuff. She wasn't the type to find in a dress. She just wasn't.
I mean, just look at this picture right here. This is her right there in prison.
And and it's so crazy because if you look at her, like pictures in the beginning of the trial, like her mugshot and stuff like that, you could tell she was very, like, life was hard. It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you could tell she had a hard life. I mean, just even look at her here. Even though she's, she kind of looks like she's still like a child trapped in an adult body.
And
Like
that's a good assessment.
That's that's the way I look at her. I look at her, I'm looking at her like her smile and stuff. I just feel like she's a child that
Hmm.
that's where she's at where she just wants attention, you know.
And that's what it was. She chose to get attention in the wrong way. And I think a lot of what her trauma was, and it just brought out. She never knew what it was to be loved. I mean, think about it. Her mother gave her up, and I found exactly when her mother gave her up when she was 6 months old to the grandparents. So, and the grandparents treated her very standoffish because they knew how she was. Her mother was a drug addict, and then her supposedly biological father was a pedo, and you know what I mean? Like, so they didn't treat her very well.
Like the unwanted child. Like she was
She
the
was
one nobody
shunned.
cared for.
Yeah, she was the black sheep, unwed. I mean, you have to think about it. Back then, it wasn't as common as it is now for women to have babies not being married. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was still looked at as being disloyal, and it wasn't a thing, you know?
Yeah. Only 6 months, which is, kind of crazy because it's like, can you imagine maybe your grandparents telling you, you know what, you're the unwanted I'm pretty sure the grandparents had to tell her, "You're the unwanted child, you were,
Mm-hmm.
you were a mistake." So she probably had that all in her head, and when she had her first encounter with the man, they probably said something that just went, "Boop," triggered it, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And I think too, I mean, if it is true, according to what she stated, that her biological grandfather was actually her father, he had to have felt a certain way. I'm sure the grandmother had to have felt, you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot more dysfunction in that family. And unfortunately, she had no one. And there was an interview that they did to her, and they asked her, like, if you would have been given love, if you could change anything. And she had said, if I was shown um love, I wouldn't be here. She's
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't be here because she had no empathy. She was never shown, she was never taught that. She lived on survival. Not that I'm making an excuse for her, because what she did was atrocious, but it is something to say when you have a child that has been put in such a dramatic situation, who has their whole life don't know where they belong, has no one to back them up or to believe in them or to put their trust in. The child's like feral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're feral. Not to say that what she did was right, but we're talking about someone who wasn't guided at all.
Well, plus even too, like, I mean, it's like us growing up. There's things that we don't like. Like maybe there's not, certain things that we remember when we were kids. Oh, I mean, I know for me when I was a kid, stuff that I went through, like going to the beach. I absolutely will not go to the beach because I'm traumatized going to the beach because being a
Mhm.
kid, if I can't see what's in the water, I ain't going in it. I'm not going where I can't see. I don't know what's there, what's gonna bite me, no,
But
no, I'm good. Right? And that's traumatizing. I can just, like, in my head, try to imagine and just picture of being so hated growing up without
mhm.
nobody wanting you, and then having your because I'm pretty sure the grandma had to know that her dad was doing this to her,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and know that she had no one to run to for help, and the person that she thought could run to for help ends up being a police officer that ends up doing this to her.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting too, because when they try to speak to her about her family, she was like, no, she shut it down. There was little bits and pieces that she gave, but she wouldn't go into depth about it. She just wouldn't.
That's
And,
that's so sad.
mhm. And I think that's what it had to do with. I think a lot of it. I think part of her, didn't want to believe that, and then another part, towards the end of her life, is where she started to just reveal a lot more, but by that time it had been too late. She didn't have much time left.
Yeah, because she was put down by injection.
Hmm.
So it wasn't.
Lethal
I'm
injection. Hmm.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was like one of the first, right? One of the first females, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Yeah, in
Yeah,
Florida. Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
it's crazy. Um, so Wuornos was trialed for multiple murders in
Hmm.
Florida court. She was convicted and sentenced to death. The murder of Richard Morley in 1992.
Hmm.
Over time, she pleaded guilty and was convicted in other cases as well. Her defense team um, attempted to argue self defense,
Hmm.
but the jury rejected that. Okay, so what is your thought on that? That I have mixed emotions on that, where they try to say
Hmm.
self defense,
Hmm.
but it was more than one case. I mean, I could get if it was your first attempt, your first one. Okay, I
Hmm.
get that. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I agree with you, and I think ultimately that's why the jury denied it, because one, two, maybe, but we're talking eight, and your profession. Unfortunately, the profession she chose, right, is as old as time, but it comes with unfortunate consequences. Um, at some point, you have to take responsibility of putting yourself in situations where things like this could occur. And if, in fact, let's just say we did believe, right, that it was self defense, how many times do you put yourself in a situation like that? You're talking
Yeah.
8 times. At the no, no. Like I said,
No.
one, maybe two. I could grant you two, right? But eight, no. Mm-mm. And they were all, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were all found in similar areas, which was, like I said, she was a hitchhiker. So like I said, I truly believe the first one or two may have been um accidental, maybe, she just lost it. But I think after that, it became premeditated. I believe once she was able to get away with the first two, is when she started to realize not only can I do this, but I can also steal their money
Yeah.
and their possessions and make more money. So that's when I believe that she just started to do it. That's my own opinion.
But don't you think that maybe I mean you found this girl you absolutely love, you're in love
Hmm.
with, right? You
Hmm.
would maybe as a girlfriend say, "Hey, honey, maybe you shouldn't do this. Like, okay, that retire your past. Let's
Hmm.
make a feel like." Or do you think that maybe the girlfriend had something to do with it, like had more to do with it than the innocence she claims?
I think, honestly, Eileen is a master manipulator. She had to learn how to be a master manipulator in order to survive. I believe that was one of her skills. I believe when she met her girlfriend, um, she was in similar situations where she was easily easy to manipulate. And she fell in love with Eileen, and she gave Eileen what she never had before, was a sense of love and being wanted and the security. But there was no money. She had no money. She needed to survive. And Eileen would do what she did, and her girlfriend would benefit from it too. So I don't think she's completely innocent. But I did see the interview she did where she didn't tell her girlfriend at first that she was killing them. She knew that she was hooking, but she didn't tell her at first that she was killing them until after.
After it all happened.
After it all happened and she got caught is when she said she had went to her first because she knew that they were looking for her already, and she told her, "This is what I did."
That's where I went wrong. I fucked
Hmm.
up.
Yeah.
I think the first 2, I think the first one I okay, fine. It was self-defense, I'll give it to you. Second one, I'm not sure if I would give you the second one, but I
Right.
think you liked it. You
Right.
like that feeling of
Mm-hmm.
you you had control and power again. Basically, is what I'm looking at. It's like, okay, her third one is okay. She had control. She had power again. She knew exactly what she was doing. Now
Yes.
I feel like maybe the girlfriend said, "Hey, you know what? This this is working for us. We're making good money. Keep it
Mm-hmm.
up. You're not going to get caught." I'm pretty sure the girlfriend had to be more of, don't worry about it. Kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie and Clyde type of thing.
I could see that. I could see that. Um,
Because if she
I
was
don't
bringing
know.
in like, let's say, $200, I don't think these truckers carry a lot on their pockets, just because they know that they're on the road all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, their wedding rings or a necklace and maybe $200 to get to their next destination. And,
Right.
everything was, I mean, granted, back then it wasn't a big thing like we have now where we carry credit cards or, our Visa debit cards and stuff like that. I think
Right.
maybe back then they'd carry checkbooks or something like that. I don't think they carried a lot of cash. At least I don't think so, unless they knew. I mean, well, maybe a lot of them knew to hire hookers on the way if they needed to get their rendezvous done.
Well, I think back then men carried, a certain amount of cash. Um, and I think men that actually would hire sex workers knew they had to bring a set amount. And I believe typically back then it was like maybe 200 to 300, right? Depending, because you had to get the hotel room if you wanted one and things like that. She did state that towards, like on her best days, she was making good money. She was making roughly around 200 a day, which back then was good money. You're
Yeah.
looking at, $1,400 a week. That's good money.
And under the table, I mean, you got to pay taxes or anything.
Yeah, it's all cash and she might have made more if they had jewelry because she was robbing them. But yeah, roughly she said it was about $200 is what she would charge.
That's crazy. I'm going to play you a clip here of her in her trial
Okay.
where she's telling the cop, uh, share screen. There we go.
Let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
Not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to do
You
that.
are lost, Nick.
So explain that
And I'm
now.
telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you
not,
get it?
Not everybody.
That right there, like, it's a scary face.
Yeah, I believe she had some mental issues. I wouldn't doubt it. I think she was a sociopath for
I'm
sure.
surprised they didn't go for the what is it, the unstable, like, mental health issues, you know what I
Insanity.
mean? Yeah, insanity. I'm surprised they didn't plead insanity with her.
I think because it was premeditated. Typically,
Oh, gotcha.
it's insanity. From what I've seen, if it's an insanity plea, right? I don't know any serial killer that's been able to do insanity other than Ed Gaines, because he literally was apeshit bonkers, right? But there
Yeah.
was a lot more to that because of and that's another one we need to do. I don't know if you've done that one yet. Oh,
No,
girl,
we gotta do that one.
yeah, Ed Gaines. He's the only one that I know of that was actually sentenced to a mental institution when it comes to serial killers. A lot of them are premeditated. A lot of them, are psychopaths. So they weighed out, their victims. Some of them stalked them. With her, she actually, she went for specific men. She knew what she was doing at some point, so she couldn't plead insanity. I mean, she tried to say that it was self-defense, and they rejected it. So insanity, I don't know if that would have even. I don't even know if she even tried that. But I don't think she could because of all the killings.
But you know what though? I think maybe the jury would probably, maybe, instead of throwing the self-defense one out, maybe they would have considered that one. Maybe that one of insanity, maybe that sounds more. I think that would have been better than pleading. And like I said, I'm not justifying what she did, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna pick one or the other, I think I would have gone with insanity versus self-defense.
Right. I think that was just her that was like just a quick thing um for her to come up with her her defense team and stuff like that with self-defense, and it really was her. I mean, ultimately, as the client, you're the one that says what you want to plead. They can't force you to plead something. And that's what she was sticking with. But like I said, because of the profession she chose, you kind of put yourself in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, even for someone who, let's say, an AT&T worker who climbs poles, you know that that's a hazardous job. Um, if you fall once or twice, you got to start thinking, hey, is this something that really I want to do? And if you fall 8 times, at some point, you got to realize that it's you, that you're not a good fit. And I think in her case, that's what it was. It just, if you're going to plead insanity or you're going to plead self-defense, why don't you stop putting yourself in a situation where you got to defend yourself all the time?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I just, like I said, I mean, it's a whole sad story all around itself because you can look at it as where she was abused. She wasn't given anything in the silver plate. You get to that mode. And if you've never been out in the streets, you
Mhm.
don't, or you've ever lived the life that she lives, you put a barrier wall. You got, if you've gone through, I mean, I know that I had my past with my ex-husband, who
Mhm.
was very mentally and physically abusive. I had a wall for a long time and I was like, I'm never gonna get married again, da 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 da. You know, where her wall was completely up all the time, especially around men, and she had a hard life. So you see that and you kind of feel for her, but then you
Mhm.
go, you know what? But these are 7 victims that were innocent that had
Mhm.
nothing to do with your past. You just took their lives away, someone's child, someone's dad, someone's friend, maybe someone's
Mhm.
husband. So
Right.
it's sad all around.
It is. It is sad, and you know, I, it's one of those things where you can kind of see how I feel like this the system just kind of failed her all the way around. And it also shows you how strong and how much as a human being we need a support system, whether it's biological family members or even friends, right? You need that support system and how crucial it is to
Mhm.
have a support system around you. And she didn't have that. Everyone
Yeah.
around her were vagabonds or drug addicts, and you know what I mean. She didn't have anything to model herself around. So I mean, anyone can be put in the same situation and you could have the same outcome, or you may have someone that doesn't have that outcome. And I would have thought when she met her girlfriend that she may have you know changed.
Changed.
Right. But I don't think her girlfriend was strong. I really think that it's kind of like you have two broken people.
But I
You
think
know
the
what I mean?
girlfriend liked the fast money pace coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the
Yeah.
girlfriend liked that and not having to do very much, and she's still getting what she wanted. So,
Mm-hmm.
you're right, 2 broken people, but I feel like the girlfriend might had a little bit knowing where, Eileen's past is coming from, had
Mm-hmm.
that upper hand in manipulation to say, "Oh, you know what? I can coach this one and get what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not gonna do anything to me."
Right.
'Cause she was more in love than the girlfriend, I feel. I feel like she was way more in love with her partner than the partner was.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe so too. I think I like I said, I really believe that they used each other. I
Yeah,
really do. I think
that.
they, even though they were broken, some of their pieces fit in their weird puzzle. that it worked
I
for
can see
them.
that.
And I mean, they were both very toxic, two toxic people, just very, very broken and toxic. So I think what Aileen offered, Tara didn't have, and vice versa. So that's how it worked. They both, you know, were able to see each other for who they were and accept each other. That was another thing, was acceptance.
Well, they couldn't love themselves, so they pawned it off
Hmm.
of each other's energy, and
Yeah.
she pawned it off of the negative energy of men that brought her
Hmm.
to do what she did. But I don't, they don't really talk very much about the girlfriend, very
Hmm.
much on a lot of things. So I'm curious to see what past the girlfriend had, because if the girlfriend had something similar to her past, then
Hmm.
that's how they kind of bonded each other.
I agree. Trauma bonding. I
Yeah.
could see that. Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, my
absolutely.
dad did this. Oh, so did my dad. My dad did the, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
nobody loved me when I was a kid. I hear, let me love you. I went through the same. I'm going to show you what, what love is, and vice versa. They both played off of their trauma together,
Right. Hmm.
you know. Now, do you agree what she got?
The death penalty?
Yeah.
Um, I do, because of the amount of people,
Mhm.
and because of, I don't think she would have ever stopped. I really believe by the time she, I mean, she was already 46. She was already set in her ways. You know, when she died, she was 46. So I think she was in jail. So when they found her, she was what, 20 something?
Yeah,
I
she
don't,
was
she was in her
she
20s, right?
yes, she did die at 46
Yeah.
by state prison.
Yeah. And she was on death row for 10 years. So she was what, 20, 30 something already by the
Yeah.
time they got her?
They arrested her in
Um,
91, and she was born in, what was it, 56?
yeah, 56.
So that'd make her 30, yeah, 30, 31.
Yeah. So she was already an adult, full-fledged adult. Not like she was in her 20s where you can be like, okay, maybe she's. I don't think she would have stopped. I think she would have kept going. She,
She,
she she was broken. She was complete. She'd been broken for a long, long time. We're not talking someone who just woke up and be like, hey, I'm just gonna do this. No, she had been living that type of life for a long time. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was other things that she did in her life, but just no one knew.
she just never got caught. There
Yeah.
probably is more things that she just never got caught. I mean, who's to say that she didn't have a role, maybe, um, being the dominant and doing that? That's why it's surprising
Hmm.
to hear her say that she didn't do anything to her ex-husband,
Right.
because she had a lot of
Yeah.
pent
He
up.
was. She did have a lot of pent up anger. I'm trying to see real quick. Yeah. So her husband, his name, was Louis Fell, Fell. That's who she married, and I'm trying to see how long they were married for. It. I don't believe it was a very long time.
Let's see if I can. But okay, here's a clip of her being on when they're doing the case. And
Hmm.
she, like I said, she just looks like a child that is just lost.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. Here we go.
Prepared.
I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
This was Aileen Wuornos. She was on death row, and this interview was the day before she would be unalived. She had unalived several men in her life. She claims she acted in self-defense and that the cops knew what she was doing, but allowed her to continue to get her in trouble.
Let them know that I know that the cops knew who I was after Richard Mallory. I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up and let me arrest those guys to turn me into a serial killer. I know they did, because I was no professional.
Aileen also claims that during her time in prison, she was messed with constantly by police and correctional officers to make her appear as crazy, so no one would believe her story.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. They had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997. They're trying to make it look like I was crazy at all times, rig up the room with torture. If I said anything about I think their whole plan was to try to make it look like I was totally crazy, and so nobody would believe anything I had to say about anything.
I was wondering how you're going.
What do you think of that? Because I know that that in her head played a big part.
Yeah, I think she was paranoid. Our father, I think she was paranoid. Like I said, she couldn't trust anyone. Excuse me. She just couldn't trust anyone. So to her, she felt like, the cops knew. I think she had something. She had to have, I don't know if they ever diagnosed her. I don't know if they did. I'm trying to see if they had any type of diagnosis on her.
I don't think they did. I don't think they diagnosed her with any, not through my notes that I saw and everything. I don't think they diagnosed her with anything.
But I'll tell you one thing. So, she literally said that her biological grandfather, essayed her, but he would also beat her. He was very abusive, and her grandmother wasn't around very long. Her grandmother died of liver failure, so she essentially was raised by her abusive grandfather.
Jeez, it's crazy to hear that this stuff actually exists, and I'm pretty sure she's not the first or ever going to be the last. And it's crazy and to hear, and you would figure. I mean, granted, the system of, the detectives and stuff looking at stuff isn't as advanced as it is now, because now it's like your hair blows and that one strand, they can find everything about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there had to be, I mean, like she said, I wasn't a professional. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, back then they had fingerprints.
Yep.
Oh,
you had asked earlier if she was forced or if she chose to give up her son. And no, she was forced to give up her son because her son was a product of rape by her grandfather's friend.
Oh.
So her grandfather, Wuornos, gave birth to a baby boy at home for unwed mothers in March 23, 1971, and her grandfather forced her to give up the child for adoption. A few months later, after her son was born, she dropped out of school. And at the same time, her grandmother died of liver failure. So here you are, she's 14, and she's got all this trauma.
Yeah. And then to give up a baby forcefully. I'm wondering if her son even knows who she is. Like, okay, that's my mom. I wonder if he even, because sometimes they keep that on the hush.
I don't
but
know.
Now that, I mean, he's got to be what, maybe 50s, 60s.
He was born in 71, so I'll be 50. So he's gonna be 55, 56.
50. So I'm wondering if he even knows or if he's,
I don't know. But his birthday is the next couple of days. Today's the 20th of March. That's wild.
That's crazy. And it's crazy we're doing the story right before his birthday.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's interesting.
I didn't even put that two together.
I just saw it. He was born March 23rd, 1971. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
So the film Monster was done in 2003. For all of you who haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a really good movie. It won an Academy Award um, for it. So it was a good movie. I do like the documentary. Did you see the documentary on Netflix? Did you get a chance to watch that?
Which one was it? Because I saw two of them on YouTube. I don't know if it was on Netflix.
There's one on Netflix, or maybe yeah, no, it was Netflix. Um, where it's just breaks things down slowly. It doesn't go into very detailed a lot. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Um,
Mm,
but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good documentary. I kind of liked it. It
mm,
wasn't long. It was like about an hour and a half. It wasn't super dragged out. The narrative was pretty good on that. So if
okay.
anybody gets a chance, go check it out and do your research on it and let us know. Come back, put your comments down. Let us know what you think of this whole case story because she was very, like I said, rest in peace to all the gentlemen she killed because she took innocent lives away. That
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if she would have gotten the help that she needed as a young kid. Would this been her path? And what could have it prevented these men of dying?
So this is interesting. I want to read this real quick because I was I remembered something that I saw in one of her interviews when she talked about her husband, and the narrator mentioned this. So remember, I told you she hitchhiked, right? That's how she ended up in Florida. In 1976, Wuornos hitchhiked to Florida where she met 69-year-old yacht club president Lewis, right? They quickly
Mhm.
married and announced their nuptials, and it was printed in the local paper. Wuornos continually involved herself in confrontations at a local bar and went to jail briefly for assault. So she was already violent at that point. She also was convicted for violence towards her husband, where she hit him with his own cane, leading him to gain a restraining order against her within weeks of their marriage. So she was barely married within like, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks. Then she returned. Yeah, because it says May, June. Yeah, she was barely married because she met him in, oh, hold on one second.
Uh-huh. So she met him and
She
then
met him in May. Hold on.
uh-huh. And then
So she met Lewis in May, May 27, 74, and she ended up going back to Michigan in July 14th, 1976. So they weren't married very long.
no, because her first victim was in 1989,
So it was shortly after.
Richard. And then 2 years later, in June of 1990, David
Mhm.
Spear was her second victim of June.
Mhm.
And her third was Charles um, Karskindian. Karskindian. He was June of 1990. Then July, a month later, was Peter
Mhm.
um, Seams, and then that was 1990. So it looks like all her victims were 1990, but you have that one in 1989. Now I'm wondering if
Mhm.
1989. I'm wondering if she had like a remorse, like, oh shit, I fucked up. Am I gonna
I
get caught?
see, and that's what I'm thinking. That's why I said the first one I don't believe was intentional. I believe that one might have been accidental. That might have, he, not to say that he deserved it, he may have triggered her PTSD and her trauma. And that may be where she came with the self defense aspect. That may have been the first one. But I think once she realized she got away with it, is when she continued. And she got like you said, her power back. I think she realized that was her power over men, since they've always been powerful over her.
Yeah. So this got a lot of attraction with the media and stuff. Do you think that this might have kind of gotten to her head a little bit? Because it did get a lot of social media traction. As we do know, you can't gain off of what you've done when you're in prison, and so like you can't make any money off of it, right? Do
Yeah, the
you
Son of Sam law.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe she liked that media attraction? Because they were constantly interviewing her. They were constantly trying to, you know, do stories about her. I think that kind of had a role of how she was like, okay, well, I don't care now if I die. Like she was, because it sounds like she was like at peace when they told her she was gonna die with illegal injection.
Yeah, she was able to. So like I said, I did see an interview with her, and she stated that she knew she was going to die of lethal injection, and she wanted to die um, with her soul at peace. So she did confess to everything. She did it. She said she did it. Um, she even wrote letters to the family members of the victims. She just wanted to release all that because she knew she was going to die. And we're talking about someone that also tried to commit suicide I don't know if you could say that. But,
Yeah, I think
she
so.
tried to do certain things. She tried to self-harm several times herself. Like at one point, she shot herself in the stomach at the age of 22.
Mhm.
So she, uh, that's why if you look at the last part, um, if you were to see like the last couple of interviews before uh the the um the execution, you can see facially she looks lighter
Yeah.
because she just knew, and she didn't want to be here anymore. And it's sad because I don't know, I think it's sad. I think it's all the way around. It's sad. It was sad for her upbringing. It was sad for what she did to the people and to the men. um
And
but
the men didn't deserve it. I mean, we're not saying that this was justifiable because of her past. No, it's just a
no.
sad story that because of her past, this is what it brought her to it. And if she would have gotten the help, maybe this would have not have happened. Maybe
Right.
the mental and physical abuse that kids suffer nowadays, this is where a lot of the shit stems from. I feel like, you know,
I agree. And statistics show a lot of people who end up being, violent criminals or who end up doing things, um, 95% of them are victims themselves. And what essentially happens is when they become victims, they have no outlet. They've not been able to work through their trauma. So a lot of them choose to do it another way. And it's unfortunate because then they just cycle it. And now they're doing things to, there's a lot of serial killers that did it to appease themselves. It's like after a while, it becomes some type of endorphin hit for them. Like you have John Wayne Gacy, you have the Zodiac killer. Like a lot of them do it as a self medication. And it's sad, but there, there's no, there was
where
no
we're
help
at
back. Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I said, I feel like with this story, I mean, there's a lot of stories out there, but with this one, I feel like
Hmm.
the media played a lot into it that I feel with her, it kind of made her feel like a celebrity. Because you even had Geraldo, he did an interview with her, 60
Hmm.
Seconds did a video with her, um, a whole bunch of medias were just going in and out talking to her. I mean, maybe because she was
Hmm.
also gonna be the first woman put down in Florida with lethal injection. Um, Maybe that's why, or I don't understand why so much when there's so many cases, this one got that much attention as it did. And I think with her, it kind of like made her feel somebody. like she was something, because she's always like smiling in some of the pictures, like you see, or some of the video clips, like she's got this big old cheesy smile, like she's done, like a little kid, she's done nothing wrong
Mhm.
besides break a couple Barbie dolls in half. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's the way I feel like in her head it looks like.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think at some point, this became the attention. She was always looking for attention from somebody, and unfortunately, this gave her the attention she was looking for, whether it was good attention or not. But it gave her that sense of being wanted by other people and being seeked out by them. But a lot of this, too, in regards to like interviews and things like that, her lawyer played a huge part in that. Her first lawyer, her
Mhm.
first lawyer was horrible. In fact, he ended up being disbarred, and on the second trial that she had, where they actually gave her the death penalty, she ended up with a different lawyer because, oh my God, he was horrible. So we spoke about the Son of Sam law, right? There is a
Uh-huh.
law called the Son of Sam where criminals uh, cannot profit from their crimes. And he went against that. And they have videotape of him in one of the videos that I saw where he was charging $20,000 for someone to do an interview with her. And it was unethical. And so he ended up getting disbarred and literally kicked out of town for it.
Oh
But
shit.
and then you had a lady, this woman this woman literally adopted her. Did you
Wait,
know
what?
that?
No, wait, what? What?
There was this Christian woman. I'm trying to see if I can find her name. There was a Christian woman who saw Aileen Wuornos's picture. She was already a convicted killer, right? Convicted serial. She was already convicted. This woman saw her picture in the local paper and said that she wanted to help her to the point where she legally adopted Aileen Wuornos
How
at
do
the
you
age of.
adopt an adult?
She did. She literally did. She changed her last. I mean, it was,
Bree, can
and
you
her
adopt me?
lawyer was involved with that. Yeah. And this is where I say so many people have taken advantage of her because, yeah, this was a huge media circus around her. She was a woman. She was a serial killer. Like it was unheard of women. Not only did back then the society not think women were capable of killing, but they definitely didn't think women were capable of killing multiple people. She wasn't the first female serial killer, but she was very her brutality, the brutality of it all with the shooting. A lot of women that were serial killers, they typically used a less violent method like poison.
Mhm.
That was typically the go-to for women. And that goes back many, many, many decades. But for her to actually use a violent method, I think that's what gained so much notoriety.
Yeah.
And her demeanor of it, like she didn't care. She was very rough, you know?
Yeah. No, and she was very her her look wise was very masculine. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
your typical female either. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't someone you thought, oh, you know. But then again, we did live in a time where people were judged by their looks too. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if that played a lot too in social media. Hey, this isn't your typical Barbie doll killer.
Mm-hmm.
This is an actual, you've got someone that looks more masculine that's doing this. That is a hitchhiker.
Mm-hmm.
And more, so I'm wondering if she got a lot of that because of her looks, because of her, one, her past. Um and and you're right. The women, it was unheard of. I mean, back
Mm-hmm.
then it was like women should be in the kitchen, not hitchhiking and killing people.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, it's she definitely gained a lot of notoriety because it wasn't very common. I mean, that's just it wasn't. I'm pretty sure that because they have FBI profile a lot of serial killers. I'm pretty sure they didn't profile a female for a while. Like, I truly believe that she set a precedence when it came to now how we see women when it comes to murder and how they actually profile whether or not it's a woman or a man. I think she had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, you know, look at this video and just kind of observe her demeanor on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, to me, it looks like this is a little child. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's see.
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Good. What's it like being in here all the time?
What's it like being in here? You have your problems with some staff don't like you, Jess. Oh, you're a serial killer. You know, Biz and stuff. And
Have you got any friends here at all?
no, I stick to myself. I just stick in the cell with myself. I don't even care about going outdoors. There's none out there. I don't smoke anymore.
So what's your day like? How does it start?
I spend 24/7 in the cell, watching TV, reading the Bible, writing letters to Dawn, sitting around doing a lot of thinking, preparing, memory, going back in time, memory of everything I've been through in my life, and then just preparing for my death. Get all the tears out of me and stuff so I won't cry. Jess. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick.
Yeah, so I saw that's a documentary. That's one of the documentaries I saw.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So the guy that she's talking to, Nick, is actually the one I was telling you that her first lawyer charged him $20,000 to interview her.
Jesus.
This was the clip you played. There's two parts to that documentary. That's the second part of it. They have a first part of the documentary where he speaks to the lawyer. He speaks to her adopted mother and all that. And you kind of get the sense of it. They try to figure out, because she was already in prison. He wanted to interview her and things like that. But yeah, at that point, she was starting to release everything. That's what I was saying earlier. You can see the level of lightness in her.
Yeah.
Because it was inevitable she was going to die. There was nothing she could do about it.
Well, and she knew already that was her sentence. It's just, it's just a ticking time of here it's going to happen. Now, I wonder if she really felt sad and remorse for what she did. And, like, I know she wrote letters to the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if those letters that she wrote, did she truly mean it, or did she just mean it because she got caught?
That's a good question. I don't know. On one hand, I think, well, she didn't have to write letters, right? She was already convicted. It's not going to do her any good. It's not like they were going to overturn her sentence. And then the other part is like, I don't know. I don't know. She could be vindictive.
Mm-hmm.
That final last jab to people. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure the family members didn't want anything to do.
I wouldn't. As a family member, I would have been like, you know what? Well, part of me would have been like, okay, you suffer, sit there in jail and rot and suffer. You've got nobody. You got no friends. You got nobody. You sit there and rot. I think you would suffer more that way versus going out. But then a part of me goes, you know what? Why would we want somebody out in the streets like that? Because now, with a lot of the laws changing, that you can go ahead and replead to get out. Like, so it'd be like, why would I want somebody to go and try to fight this case 20 years later to come out and be walking the streets? Like,
No, I see what you're saying. I think, well, depending on the state, there's a lot of states that you can only appeal for so long. Unlike some states where you could literally be on death row for decades before, with all the appeals and motions and things like that. Like California is one of them. Like You got people that have been on death row for like 4 decades. They don't
Oh,
even look, you know what I mean? Yeah, Charles Manson's one of them. He was on death row for years. And then they overturned the death penalty in California so that the people who had death sentences ended up getting life. And then they brought back the death penalty so they couldn't. So, depending on the state, but I think Florida is very strict when it comes to that. I believe they're second to Texas. Texas is really strict. There's only so much appealing you can do. And I believe she went through all her appeals because she was on there for 10 years. She was on death row for 10 years.
oh wow.
So it wasn't quick. She was on death row for 10 years before they actually did it. Texas is a little different. They a lot faster. They a lot faster.
Like, let's get this shit done. We need the space. We need to
Yeah,
keep moving.
yeah, they're a lot faster. But yeah, so I think she exhausted it all and she just had to get to the point where make peace with it. And she did say at one point, I don't know if she said it in that clip, but it's in that same video. It's in that same that one that you played, where she says that she just wants to she wants to be at peace as much as she could. She just wants to release it. She doesn't want to die with all of this inside her. She wants to let everything out, whether it's to him, because he was interviewing, whether it was to him. And then she wanted to make certain things clear too, because in the first video, she felt like there were certain things that she was talked about, and there were things that was said about her or said about her family or said about certain things that she wanted to correct. There's a lot on the record that she wanted to correct. And he even asked her, he said, so you're not pleading, it wasn't self-defense? And she said, nah. She said, I lied. I lied on the stand. Because she was on the stand when she said that, she had gotten raped and that it was self-defense. And he goes, but I believed you. She said, well, I'm a really good liar.
Jeez, well,
Like, she literally said it.
Check out this clip here. This is where
the seventh man that you shot. Did you say to yourself, I'm out of control. I'm killing people. I need help.
No, I thought to myself, those men are out of control. I'm sick and tired of those men out there thinking they can control us and do whatever they damn well please with our bodies and think they can get away with it because this is a male-dominant society and we're gonna treat you the way we want to, abuse you, treat you, destroy you. It don't matter to us because we can get away with doing that.
Yeah, that was in the beginning of her being arrested and stuff like that. Yeah, you could see the difference. Did you not see the difference in her facial features and just by how she spoke and her demeanor? You can see the difference.
we could see she was more she was angrier at everything, and towards the end she was more like, okay, this is my life now. I know I'm not getting out. It is what it is now. I better make peace with myself. But I don't think she ever made peace with herself.
No.
I think she tried, but I think mentally she never made peace with herself. I think mentally she just coped. It was like a cope mechanism for her just to survive until it was time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she even said it on that one, right? I don't want to cry on the chair. She kept saying the chair, but she didn't get the electric chair. She got the shot, but she said, I don't want to cry on the chair. I want to let it all out. I don't want to cry. And that says a lot because for me, just hearing that, I think she wanted to go with the sense of power that she didn't have while she was alive. That if I'm going to go, at least I'm going to go like this. So
now I can't remember if the family members went to the trial of hers. I don't know if something like that happened and I was put in that position. I don't think I could go to the trial and be like, be there to see the person who killed either my brother or my husband, my I wouldn't be, I would, because I think I'd try to fly over there and jump over every person just to go,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? My anger would, I would see red,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
I think some of the family members were there. I don't know for sure, but I would think some of them were there. Just like I'm pretty sure some of them were at the execution because they do have that right to be there.
Yeah. I could see that. I could
Yeah.
see, you know, people being the family members being at the execution of, you know, but at the same time, does that close that door? Will you feel better if that happened?
Mm,
Is it truly, because now you just did what she did, basically,
mhm,
just legally.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, some people see it as closure. Some people don't. Like I've seen a lot of documentaries and interviews of people who, have gone to executions for whatever the case may be, and some of them are like, I feel like I can, the world's a better place. I feel like I can move on. I got closure. And then you have some that are just like, this means nothing to me. I still have a hole, a big hole
Yeah.
inside me. Whether this person was executed for it or not, I realize it does nothing. So I just think it depends on you.
Yeah. Well, this is a great story. This is a really good
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Hmm.
Can't wait for more to come. And you said another one. So hopefully
Yeah.
you're available next Friday and we can do another one. Be great. Have you
That would be,
back. I'm
yes.
excited. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And is there anything you want to end this topic, the story with?
Uh, you just never know. You never know if anyone. It's tragedy all the way around. Um, I just hope that we don't get to see another Aileen Wuornos in my lifetime because it's tragic.
Yeah, definitely it is. Plus, I hope everybody understands that you never know what that person is going through.
Hmm.
So please, when you see someone that is in need of help, try to extend that hand. If not, try to find somebody that'll be able to help them in any shape, way, or form because we do live in a society that's tough and they do judge us all or they, say things, especially some of our kids growing up. We just don't know what they're going through. So definitely
Absolutely.
remember that and be nice and kind. And because at the end of the day, these kids are our future. So always remember that.
Yep,
So with that
I agree.
said, love you all. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And we will see you guys next Friday. Peace.
Yay.
Peace out.
Peace.